What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Evan Hears Culture campaign, and today we're talking about the 2011 album Days by Real Estate. So in honor of real estate, here I am at the spookiest piece of real estate in all the land, the murder house from American Horror Story. That's it. That's the bit. This is like a block from my house. It's hard to come up with stuff. And I've got COVID. So if you look around, you may have noticed that I've moved. This time to Los Angeles again. And if you're keeping track, I believe that makes this the 6th base of operations of the Evan Hears Culture campaign. And like many of the sets before, it's incredibly sterile, little pizzazz, no personality. Maybe one day that'll change, but for today it's appropriate because if you want something that is sterile and lacking personality, well, look no further than Days by Real Estate. As I often do in this show, in order to be thorough, I listened to this album 3 times. The first time, I found it incredibly boring. The second time, I started to find it annoying. And the third time, I hated it. I grew a true animosity toward this album, and it made me quite upset. Let's pull back for a moment and talk in more broad terms. So what kind of music does Real Estate make? Well, the internet would call it jangle pop or jangle rock. But once again, I'm not familiar with what those kind of micro genres mean. They say it has jangly guitars. But I don't know what a jangly guitar is. Aren't all guitars kind of jangly, so to speak? So let's categorize it in terms that I'm familiar with. I would call it sort of soft rock, indie rock. There is a bit of a yacht rock vibe to it. The closest band I could sort of think of that easygoing, yuppie vibe is maybe a Steely Dan kind of sound. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Steely Dan kind of sound. I like that easygoing, breezy, musical aesthetic, but this just doesn't have anything worth delving into. It started out that first time, the first track came on, and I thought, oh, this is kind of nice. This is smooth. But then it maintained that all the way through, and it maintained it in a way where you think the intro track is like a taste of what's to come, and then we're gonna build on that and we're gonna expand, and the sound never expanded beyond that. So as that all compounded, it just started to become incredibly bland and droning and just not a fun listen. On top of that, you have this incredibly simple lyricism that it's like Mad Lib's soft rock if someone forgot to put in all the proper nouns in the Mad Libs. It is purely template-based writing in terms of the lyrics. And then you think, okay, well, maybe the vocal quality is going to save this. I don't like the sound with the instrumentation. I don't like the lyrics, but maybe the vocal quality is going to save it. And Martin Courtney, God bless him, just has a voice that it's not technical enough to be, wow, that's so beautiful. But there is absolutely no character to it. It is as flat and personalityless as they come. So as I was saying, my journey with this was the first time, okay, that's bland. The second time, just having to hear the tracks again, I was like, oh gosh. And every new track that would come on, I'm like, just please end. And that third time, because the music is so nothing, it feels like your soul is just beads sucked away, track after track. You come in with your youthful life energy, and it just dissipates every single chord that is played until you get to that last track, which is just ends with like 3 minutes of instrumental, and you're just waiting for that final note because it's the same riff over and over again, and each little piece of your soul is going, and then boom, the album finally ends, and you have to take like 15 minutes to get back into the normal base level. Okay, I'm happy-go-lucky. Life Is Okay Again. But I listened to it 3 times because I was looking for that thing. I was looking for that X Factor type quality that pushes this to something that could make it on one of these best of the decade lists. And I just never found it. So then I read the little Pitchfork blurb that they'd written up on its inclusion and found it pretty eye-opening. They said, and I quote, "There are albums on this list excavated from the darkest pits of despair, ones that irrevocably reshape the sound of pop, and ones that will be commemorated by future generations as crucial documents of the decade's political turmoil. And then there's Real Estate's second album, Days, which people turned to when they wanted something that just sounded good. If that sounds like damning praise, consider how hard it can be to face the challenge of sustaining serenity and finding..." So, it's never a good sign when your first half of your blurb is a backhanded compliment, but as they're saying, there is no thing. There is no X Factor. You have to like the aesthetics of the music, and if you don't, you're not going to get anything out of this album. But I don't want to be entirely negative. I want to say a few positive things. So number 1, they can play their instruments. Now, that doesn't sound like much, but it's not nothing. There's proficient playing on this album. Number 2, the song It's Real on the album does work on its own. If you want a taste of what the band is like, just go listen to that song, and then I would say, don't listen to anything else. It's Real works as a catchy little pop song. And number 3, at one point, the band did play at an event that was promoting Twin Peaks: The Return. So that's probably the best thing Real Estate has going for it. And let's go ahead, add that to the Twin Peaks counter we're starting as a new feature on the show. And we're grandfathering Sharon Van Etten into that because she performed in an episode of Twin Peaks: The Return. And my 4th and final sort of positive is that the final song has the lyric in the chorus, "It's all right, it's okay," which is a terrible lyric, but I was listening to the album on a road trip with my dad, and that lyric happened, and then he filled it in with the rest of a quote from an iconic documentary.
"It's all right, it's okay, it's something to live for. Jesus told me so."
Bill, you couldn't ask for anything better. I think it was recorded too high.
So that gives the album a point in its favor. Those are really all the positives I can think of. Once again, if you want a taste of the band, you want a taste of Real Estate, listen to It's Real. But I would just say, don't listen to Real Estate at all and go listen to the album Portmanteau by The Drums, because it has all the qualities that Real Estate has, but with actual soul and character and a little bit of heft to it. And Money is a great song. Excuse me, I misspoke. It's called Portamento, and it has a song called Days. So do that. Don't bother with Real Estate. Culture out. Okay, well, here's another cool piece of real estate. It's the Avatar Meher Baba Center. He was like a god in human form. That's in the neighborhood, too. Does that make the production value for this one any...